Ready to get weird?
Very weird.
Welcome back to the Virtus Performance Podcast, and apologies in advance. We are both battling a little bit, Bailey. Would you agree?
Yeah. Sunday scaries.
Sunday scaries, very much so. It's about damn time we got you on the podcast. It's the last episode of Season 3, and it's the last chance you're going to have to join us for a while. Do you want to tell the audience what's going on and why the fuck you're leaving us?
Yeah, so moving to the sunny coast next week.
Why?
Something different. Felt like I was sort of stuck in this cycle of just same stuff, different day sort of thing. And I thought, why not change it? Mum lives up the coast, so it was not like I have to go find a place to live or anything. It's there ready for me. And yeah, thought, why not?
So you said you're stuck in a cycle of same shit, different day. For the ones that don't know, do you want to tell the audience sort of who you are, what you do, and what does the same shit, different day look like currently?
Well, yeah, Bailey Schmidt. I'm from down this way, born and raised in Seaford. And yeah, I'm a fridgie at the moment, and I work for my old man. I enjoy it. It's good fun, but I think the fun part is actually working with my dad because we get along pretty well. The actual work side of things, I'm not that into it, which is why I'm sort of moving on a bit.
I didn't know fridgie was an actual trade until earlier this year. Yeah. What does a fridgie do?
Oh, well, I don't really know. I'm not that good. So, there's lots of different things. Fridgies can be, it's like aircon and refrigeration. So it's like we do commercial. So we do like build cool rooms, refrigerate cool rooms, freezer rooms, and create like custom butcher displays and sandwich bars and all that.
So all things cold, you just look after them.
Yeah.
Love that.
And then a lot of other guys would, like Harry Lane is a fridgie. He just does aircon and that, I think. So that's not something I really got into, but yeah. So it just sort of felt like, sort of in the last few months with me, I've always had footy as like that outlet. And then the last 3 months of having no footy, I sort of felt like I was just in this cycle of, same shit, different day, of going to work, coming home, and I'd come here 3 or 4 times a week, and that was good. That was a good release when I didn't have footy. But then I sort of was like, something just didn't feel right, and I was a bit like, I need to do something about it.
Yeah.
And spoke to my mum about it and just said, like, I'm feeling a bit weird, and I was a bit hesitant to talk to my old man about it because he'd put all this time into me.
You did want to bail on him and his business.
Yeah, so I didn't want to let him down, but I spoke to him and Mum sort of spoke to Dad, and Dad sort of just sent me a message out of the blue saying, like, I know you work for me, but you're my son. I want to put you first. Like, I don't care if you don't want to work for me. It's your choice. You just need to be happy and live your life.
That's it. You work yourself up and you create all these stories in your head, but like he's your old man and he's not going to be pissed at you if you bail, and want to look after you and your mental health and have a dabble in something different.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, like, getting that message from old man was like, that was a massive weight off my shoulders because I was like, thank God, like, I don't have to.
Don't even have to approach him about it. He's just done it. What a man.
And he was almost the one that sort of, not pushed me to move, but he just said, maybe you should just try something, because Mum had sort of mentioned it and I was always like, I don't know, not sure. And then Dad sort of said, oh, why not? Like, nothing's holding me back here. Haven't got a mortgage or a house or anything, don't have a girlfriend or anything, so it's like there's nothing holding me back. And I just thought, why not? So I just committed, and then I think I started telling everyone as soon as I could, because then I was like, I know if I sit on this and think about it, I'm going to want to pull the pin.
That's it. If you put it out into the universe and say you're moving and you tell enough people, then it's almost like accountability. And if you chicken out, pardon the pun, then you've let down all these people that you've put it out there and you said you're going to do it, and then you don't do it. Yeah. What's Sunny Coast like? Sunny Coast life hopefully going to look like?
Well, I'm hopping off the tools. I told myself.
So we're transitioning?
Yeah. Growing up through school, I always said couldn't stand being a tradie. And I didn't. I went and worked at Padua College for 3 years and really enjoyed that. But I just didn't want to go into teaching. I more couldn't be bothered going to uni, actually. And so I went and worked for my old man. I think I did that for the last 2 years. And like I said, it just didn't work out. And then now I'm going up Sunny Coast and I'm going to go into some support work. So, yeah.
Why support work?
I I think looking back on my time at Padua, I really enjoyed working with kids and that, and like I do a fair bit of footy coaching and that when I can. And I like working with kids and feeling like you're having an impact sort of thing.
Mm.
And that was something my mum sort of does a bit of that sort of stuff, and I thought, why not give it a crack? So, yeah.
You did say growing up and throughout school, being a tradie was the last thing you wanted to do. What did you want to be growing up, and what was life, growing up and going through school like as Schmitty?
That's a good question. It feels like it was so long ago.
You went to primary school in Seaford?
Yep, Seaford North Primary School, and then went to Flinders College in Carrum Downs for my high school. I'm not actually sure. I think I always just enjoyed playing sports and that, like footy and basketball. And I always sort of thought something like that would be pretty cool. And then I was kind of smart, but I had real bad, like, shocking study habits. Like, I still remember my mum saying to me the difference between me and my sister going through year 12 was like, my sister just like studied non-stop and would like just lose it over not studying. And I was sort of like...
And you didn't give two shits?
Yeah. I remember going into my maths exam without a bound reference. I just walked in with my textbook, and I think I was the only person in my year level.
So you did VCE?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
What are you trying to say?
I'm not trying to say anything. I'm making assumptions when I shouldn't. So
I'm a smart bloke.
Did you do methods?
No, I dropped methods because of my study habits.
Fuck, there you go, okay.
I started methods in Unit 3, started doing that, and then the teacher sort of pulled me aside and said, if you're going to do methods, you need to actually study.
I nearly went down that path myself. I did methods, and it was probably a couple of months out from the end of year exam, and I got 3% on a practice exam. And I was sort of the same as you. I didn't give two shits, and then I probably got that 3%. I was like, right, something actually needs to change here. And then we turned that around. But what happened with the role at Padua? How'd you get onto that? Is it teaching something you wanted to get into, and that was like your first foot in the door?
It was actually probably almost a bit of a stuff around applying. Like I sort of wasn't even meaning to it. I was a teacher's aide for 3 years, and the first year was through the AFL Sports Ready program, which I think they still do. Sort of like it's I don't really know what it is. It just connects to schools, and you do like a certificate in something. I can't remember what it was. And I just was going through the website, and there was a few openings because I left it pretty late because can't remember what I was doing. I was probably doing nothing. And then I was at Stingrays at the time because I went to school a year early, so my 18th year was when I was 17.
You were like me. You were a young'un and you were 17 while your mates were 18.
Yeah. Yep. So I was playing Stingrays, and I think in our Stingrays team there would have been 8, maybe even 10 players that all went to Padua, and they were all in the school. And something came up on the Sports Ready website, and it said teacher's aide job at Padua. And I went to training the next night, and I was like, fuck, that'd be pretty funny if I was working and you guys are there.
Yeah.
And then...
Literally get to work with your mates.
Yeah, and they were sort of like, oh, fuck, it'd be funny, as just do it. And I was like, all right. So I applied for it.
So you're saying it started as a piss take?
Sort of, yeah. It was something I was interested in.
Yeah.
It was just because I applied for a few schools, I think. And but it was I left it until like mid-Jan or something. And so like most schools had already sorted it the year before, sort of thing, like in the December and that. And yeah, ended up having an interview, getting the job. And worked there for 3 years. And it was probably, some of the most fun I've had. I did just heaps of random stuff. And then it sort of got to the stage where, what would it have been? That would have been end of 2019. No, 18, 19, no, end of 2020. And I was sort of at the stage where you had to like commit to going and doing something to further.
Okay, so you were still doing that in 2020, like during COVID?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was when all that stuff happened, sort of had to, heaps of different stuff happened, with all the schools shutting down and everything. But got to the stage where it was like, you need to do something. And I wasn't really that set. I did want to do teaching. I think I still sort of have plans for something like that, but it's not something I'm too interested in the moment. Like,
is that the uni barrier?
Yeah, I think it's the uni barrier, just purely because I know my own study habits. But I think if it's something that I really like and am passionate about, I know I would actually
you would, yeah.
Like it's sort
You'd
of
find a way.
Yeah. So that was good fun for 3 years, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, had to move on. You
didn't get up to any mischief with your mates while they were students and you were a teacher's aide, did you?
No, I made sure
kept you separated?
Yeah, nice and professional.
Anything you learnt along the way as your time as a teacher's aide?
Probably just how different all the kids are. Like kids might respond differently to one style of you telling them off, I guess, and then another group of kids might respond completely differently. So it's like understanding that everyone is so different, and you can't just use this one way to.
Literally, there's no one size fits all.
Exactly.
It's like coaching the peanuts at Virtus, mate. Bailey Schmidt might respond to something, and Harry Lane might respond in a completely different way.
Exactly right. I'm good to coach as long as you've got good music on.
You are coachable, and speaking of music, sorry if it sounds like there's a rave going on in the background at the moment. Mitch has got the AFLW girls in, and the music's pumping fairly loudly. I'm not too sure if it's coming through these speakers, but that'll be a later problem anyway. So where are we now? So 2020, you said you finished at Padua.
Yep.
What was the next few steps there?
Well, coming out of, I'd already worded up with Dad that we were going to go work for him.
Yep.
So had the summer off, and then got stuck into getting on the tools, started the apprenticeship, and wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing. Nothing special. It was just sort of like get through it.
It would have been about that time, start of 2021, where I think I first met you at Virtus, and you were having your induction. You had a broken shoulder at the time. What was going on there?
Yeah, that was... When was that? No, that was... I had the shoulder 2019, end of 2019.
Still giving you some problems?
Nah, that's all right. As it stays. The Fizz looked after me.
Because you were transitioning from EDASP footy to YC. What was the change there? And how's that change sort of impacted you?
Oh, just something different.
Something different.
Yeah, bit of a
You don't like the same thing for too long, do you?
No, I thought I did, but now I'm starting to realise I probably don't.
Do you get bored easily?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I?
I don't know. You seem to hate doing the same thing over and over again.
No, I'm just trying to find something. I need to find a place or doing something that I enjoy and that I feel like I get a lot out of it.
You're trying to find yourself. So you said you're going into support work when you moved to the sunny coast. It's something your mum's been doing for a while, you said. Is it something that you've seen her do it and you've thought to yourself, like, shit, I'd really love to give that a crack?
Yeah, it's mum, and it's also like I've got a lot of mates down here that even do it, and that I sort of thought about just dipping into it down here, but obviously the opportunity up there came along and I couldn't really say no. But yeah, it's just something that I think seems very rewarding, and I've sort of done it little bits and pieces with like lived experience with older family members and that. But I'm just really interested to actually try and have an impact with some kids and that.
Yeah, and I suppose that's a form of teaching. Like, even though it's not formal, got to go through uni and get a teaching degree, and then you're working as a teacher under this Victorian curriculum. Like, you're still having your impact on kids just in a way that you choose to do. And it's probably one of the reasons that I switched out of teaching myself, because that's what I was first studying at uni, into sports science, and then here at Virtus, because I still get to have an impact on young people, but I just didn't like having to be really, really rigid to a curriculum and have to strictly teach what you have to teach in a school structure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sort of. Probably, I reckon you would get a different kind of relationship here as well as being in a school. I think there's benefits to both of them, but it's just those different relationships, I guess. Yeah.
It's probably more of a professional relationship inside of a school, which there's nothing wrong with, but it's just probably not for me. I like to build more of a personal relationship, and and you can say the word fuck to them inside the gym, mate. You're not allowed to do that in school, and I'm a very sweary person. I don't have much of a filter. Let's talk footy. You said you were playing Stingrays for a few years. Was AFL footy something that you aspired to play?
Oh, it was, but I think I was a bit away from it. I'd like to think I was close, but I don't really think I was that close.
If you're not watching on YouTube, Bailey Schmidt's a really, really big and tall man. A ruckman, hard position to play. I wouldn't know because I've never had to do that.
It is a hard spot to play.
What was that like, growing up and always having to be the big man?
Growing up, I hated playing ruck. Genuinely hated it. So
they all seem to.
Juniors, we're in a pretty good side, and we had a few big.
Did you play for Seaford?
Yep. Seaford Juniors. I spent a year at EDS when Seaford folded, but it was always playing in the ruck. But then it sort of got to the stage where I just didn't want to play ruck, and we had a few other big boys, so they got them in the ruck, and I just went and sat forward. Didn't really do much, but I actually quit footy one year. I think it was under 14s. I quit and went because I wanted to focus on my basketball. I thought I was better at basketball, which don't know if I was.
Were you wrong about that?
Both. Oh, well, footy's got me partially further than basketball, so I think so. But, yeah, I remember quitting footy, didn't do any pre-season that, and then I think my good mates were like, just come down, watch, and went and watched, I think, the first 2 rounds, and I was like, nah, fuck. I was like, I can't not play footy. And
Missed it too much.
I'd just seen all my older mates go through the V-Line Cup, which I don't think it's still called that, but it's like Stingrays under 15 competition, I think, that they sort of do with all the country teams.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, I'll give it this season. If I make V-Line, I'll keep playing footy. If I don't, I'll just fully quit footy. And then from there, I think, made that, and then just sort of kept going and going.
Made it as a ruckman?
Yeah, made it as a ruckman.
Just can't escape it.
And then I think about 12 months later, I'd given up basketball and just tried to focus on footy. And and then went through Stingrays, and that was probably some of the most fun I've ever had playing footy. YC's probably gone pretty close
up
to
there
it as well. Yeah, it's been good fun.
Once you were in the Stingrays, squad, like, was AFL then something you thought, shit, like this, or a chance here? Or?
I think in the back of your head, you always sort of think. And I think being a taller bloke, you probably get looked after a bit more, which was nice. But it was also, it was more for me, I was just like happy being around mates. Like I was saying, footy's always been my release. And just being in the squad of it was like 50 or 60 of us all from around this area. And we would just hang out every weekend. And it was just, everyone sort of thinks I was just footy. But it was when it's time to lock in, it was, footy. But on the weekends and stuff, it was just
for the most part, it's just hanging out with your mates.
Yeah, being with mates, and it was just good fun. So I did, I gave it a bit of a crack, but probably left it a bit late and realised, same with my study habits, my training habits.
Training habits weren't there?
Amazing, so...
Well, they've definitely changed over the past few years, because the training habits I see from you these days are pretty phenomenal. But we'll get into that a little bit later. From there, we went to Edie Asp, correct? Edie Asp Seniors?
While I was at Stingrays, I was at Edie, so I went from Seaford to Edie to YC. So it was just something, because I think Seaford had dropped down to Division 2, and I loved Seaford, but I sort of spoke with a few people, and they sort of recommended trying to stay in Division 1, and Edie had Yater was the coach at the time, Graham Yates. I think he played for Melbourne a few games.
Yep.
And Yater had a connection with Stingrays with Flano as the talent manager, because Yater used to coach Stingrays, and they sort of hooked me up there and went over there for a bit, and I only played the 4 games, because then I was back at Stingrays and that for the rest of the year, and then moved on from there, and COVID shut everything down.
What did COVID look like for you? Just.
I don't know, it feels like it was so long ago. But
it does. We've had a solid year of no COVID, and I haven't had to check in for about a year now, and everything's back to pretty well normal. But through that COVID time, I actually didn't know you. So what? First year you would have been at Padua, second year you would have been at Frigi. What did those 2 years look like? How'd everything go with mental health and because as you said, you don't like doing the same thing over and over, and that's exactly what, for me anyway, that's exactly what COVID was. It was the same shit every single day for 2 years.
Yeah, so being it was different. It was just weird. It was especially I feel more for the kids that were at school probably than for people that were sort of our age. I mean, everyone took it completely differently, but I just feel like the kids in school, they would have struggled so much. Trying to do year 11 and 12 through that would have been insane. I can't even imagine. I would have just thrown the towel in and been like, mate, I'm not doing this shit.
And fuck the study, just missing the fun stuff, the underage parties and
even do the
turning 18.
And then you're going in and you can't even see, I don't know.
Yeah.
Shit. At Padua, because the school shut, I was over at the Tyab campus just doing maintenance. So it was good. I was lucky enough, pretty much the whole, whatever it was, 2 years of lockdown or whatever, however long it was, I was pretty much working the whole time.
Working.
So at Padua, was still working, and then obviously left Padua, started working for my old man, and because we were Friggies, it was the what do they call it?
I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, this is the Sunday Scaries. Sorry, folks, we're a little slow in the head at the moment.
So we were still working flat out, and it sort of had patches where it slowed down a bit. But I mean, because we do a lot of work at Dandy Market, South Melbourne Market, and that, and they were all still operating in that. So
it would have been good to just get out and see people, and I guess for COVID it's relatively buzzing, and you're seeing people out and about.
Oh, it was just weird. Like, you can drive on Nepean Highway 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. No one's on Nepean Highway.
Yeah.
Drive all the
Straight
way to the
through.
city. It takes you 25 minutes to get to the city instead of 45. So that was probably the weirdest part. You're just driving around. There's no one on the road. It was just like a ghost town for so long.
Bizarre.
But yeah, I mean, I think I would have struggled if I was stuck at home. I reckon I would have been a bit all over the joint. But I was lucky enough to still be working. And,
So it's weird in a way, like work sort of came a bit of a release.
Yeah, and because obviously it didn't have that footy, it was had work to sort of keep my mind ticking along, I guess.
Yep. And then we come to YC. We finally got on the park because was it 2020 you started playing for YC or 2021? Because 2020 you wouldn't have got on the track.
Yeah, so end of 2019 I signed at YC for 2020, and I think that was when I started here as well because I was coming back from my shoulder and got to work with the Fizz and all the boys. Coops, good man.
Shout out
Coops. And what was it? What was the question again?
So 20. Sorry, mate. We're both battling. 2021. Did you get on the track at all?
YC. Yeah. So missed 2020. 2021 got on the track, and we had a pretty good year. We were cruising along, and then got because then the lockdowns came again. Yeah.
So you wouldn't have finished the year.
That sucked. That was actually very shit because I think we ended up playing a game off a 2-week lockdown with no training. And then that was the last game we played, and I'm pretty sure we played Rosebud that day, and Rosebud thumped us.
What was it like, the transition to a new club? Like, did you know many of the boys at YC?
Not really. Yeah. It all sort of came along.
Like, was it daunting at all?
No, I like to think I'm a pretty open person that is very approachable, or I can approach people and just sort of make mates.
No worries,
But knowing you sort of, I think everyone in the MPNFL league sort of knows that YC is sort of that club that's very opening and welcoming.
Yeah.
So, it sort of came about because I was like, Luca Goon is probably one of my best mates, and his old man, Gooch, used to work was assistant coach at Frankston VFL when I was there, and he ended up getting the head gig at Frankston YC, and that was when I sort of messaged. Luca was at Mount Eliza at the time, and me and him were talking, and I was like, should we get going, go to YC? And he was like, yeah, I reckon let's do it. And that's sort of how that just came about. Got there, and I knew Luca, a few other boys I used to play at Stingrays with, Bailey Angwin, a couple other boys. It's probably more, but I can't think at the moment.
Yeah,
and then,
join the club.
It was sort of just meeting people, going to training and that. It was a bit hard because I was still coming back from my shoulder, so I was a bit out of it at the start. And then, after a few months and that, it all just sort of clicked. And
we'll talk about injury in a moment because you've had a few over the past 12 months especially, but past few years. 2022 comes along, big expectation. Year probably didn't go as you planned, like from a footy sense and just life sense. Give us a bit of a year recap because, a fair few speed bumps.
There was a few big ones, but shit happens. I was feeling pretty good start of the year, and going after the season getting shut down in 2021, it was like, all right, I want to lock in and have a big 2022, and it was going pretty well pre-Chrissy. Thought I was training pretty well, feeling pretty good, and
you were like, out of all the people that come through our doors, but both training for footy or other sports or just doing the group training and just want to feel better, like you were definitely one of our more consistent athletes for probably the past 18 months. Like, you've been really, really solid. So those study habits and training habits that occupied your life for the past few years, they definitely weren't present the past 18 months. But then shit went pear-shaped. Yeah,
so it was hottest 100 day down at Rye. One of the boys has a house down there. Had a few, went down to the beach, and we're all just sort of stuffing around and running around the beach, chasing a mate. Took a step, sort of felt like I rolled my ankle a bit, and I was like, oh, fuck, that's a bit sore, a bit tender. Didn't worry about it. Sort of hobbled my way into the water.
Did you jump and land, or you were just running?
I think I was just running, and like the sand just sort of went or something. I don't know. Maybe I stood on something. Don't know. And then
you had a few, and your memory of the event is cloudy.
I wasn't full on like I was okay.
We know what you mean.
I was okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Went for a swim, swam for like half an hour, and then went to walk in, and I was like, fuck, something's not right here.
Jesus.
And couldn't put any weight on it. And all my mates going, oh, he's just, it's just a rolled ankle. I was like, this isn't a rolled ankle.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than when you hurt yourself and you're pissed and you can feel it and it hurts. It's like, geez, if I'm pissed and I'm feeling it this bad, something must be wrong. And then almost people like don't believe you, or they think you're just in your own head, or they think you're being a pussy.
Yeah, exactly. And so because I'd broken my foot in 2016, and I was like, nah, this is feeling like
similar.
this.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, this isn't good. And
Is that the same foot?
No, that was my left in 2016.
Yep.
So this January was my right.
Okay.
So did that, and went back to the house. I think they carried me to the car, to be honest.
Jeez,
Hobbled
good
me to the
effort.
car. I know, good blokes. Got there, and then they were all going to the pub, and I was like, oh, there's no chance
Can't
I'm
do
going.
it.
I was like, I'm just going to try and sleep it off. Went to bed, woke up the next morning, my foot's fucking half purple, I reckon.
Fat as.
It was
I think
very
you showed me a
fat.
picture.
And then I had to drive home on Penlink.
And it was your right foot too, yep.
Foot, and I was like, probably shouldn't have been driving, but I had to drive. My car was there, and it was struggling to drive home. Got home, and it was a Sunday, so couldn't go get X-rays. I didn't want to go wait at the hospital. I was like, fuck that. So went on Monday morning, got X-rays, and nice little fracture on the fifth mat, Jones fracture, I think it was. So that sort of put the dampener on the start of the year and all that pre-season.
Derailed all the work you'd been doing. So how did you cope with that, and what was copping that news like after all the work you've done? Like, you finally turned your shit training habits around, you're putting in work, pumped for a big year, we've fucked off COVID, like this is it, YC, we're going to win a flag, and then you're going to miss the first half of the year.
Yeah, I think that was probably when, for me, I think it went a bit pear-shaped, because like I said...
What went a bit pear-shaped, like mental health?
Yeah, I think
like,
it was me mental health.
Yep.
Like, I struggled a fair bit at the start of the year, and I think I spoke to you a bit, I spoke to Lockie a lot, and just sort of got to the stage where, like, footy was at release, and then all of a sudden it was taken away, and the work, because it's always been like footy, work, family, and those were the three things that was like, as long as one or two of them's going all right, I'm going all right. And so footy obviously went from there with the broken foot, and it was just like everyone sort of gets around you and looks after you, but you're not there and you're not playing. It's just shit.
Yeah.
And then work stuff was just like, wasn't really enjoying it. And then and then I'm in a boot trying to work and shit. And it's just
a battle. It's just a slog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think I was sort of missing family a bit because my mum had moved.
Yeah, had she moved by then?
Yeah, mum moved first week of Jan. So Jan was a massive fuck around because what was it? Mum moved first week of Jan. Me and my mate drove up with mum, helped her move in, and then we spent a week driving home. And on the way home, we got COVID. And then the next, I think the day I got out of, so I missed my first week back of work because of COVID. And the next day was the hottest 100 and I broke my foot. So I was, Dad wasn't too happy with me. But it was like that. Mum had moved, my sister had moved. I think my sister moved about 6 months before that. She lives in Gold Coast, so she's sort of near mum. And obviously still had my brother and my old man, but it was just like, felt like everything had just sort of gone to shit. Me and my mum were very close. Like, I'm close to my dad, but me and mum are sort of that more emotional.
I know what you mean.
Sort of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
my
yeah.
dad can still have that chat, but it's just different with mum, I guess. And,
you got that relationship with your mother. So your mental health struggled. Like, what sort of things did you do, and how did you sort of turn that around?
Yeah, I just sort of, you find your mates. Like, I mean, I have heaps of mates, but you know the ones that you can properly go to and have that conversation with. And I spoke to, Lockie a lot, like heaps of I actually started reading heaps of books. He gave me all these books, and I read a fair few books, I reckon. And I was pretty happy with myself for that.
You're doing better than me on the reading department lately.
Oh, not lately, but this was, back then. And then, because I think I was just in the moon boot sitting home, I was like, fuck, I'm not just going to sit on the Xbox all day. So
good man.
And then,
better man than I am.
Spoke to Mitch a lot. I think I spoke to you a fair bit. Yep. And just sort of, a few boys from the footy club were getting around me a lot. And just like, mates, family, everyone just sort of gets around you. Yeah,
so, any advice for anyone that's struggling, maybe not just with injury, but just with mental health, or they're feeling a bit isolated from family or quite not enjoying their work, like, what would you say to them?
I'd probably just say, like, don't think you're a burden on anyone. I think at the start I sort of thought that, and then I like came to my senses. I was like, I do feel shit, and like this sucks, but me feeling like this isn't going to be a burden to anyone else. Like I needed to talk to people, and I had people to talk to, but if I tried to keep that in, like it would have just gone more and more and more, and it just keeps piling on, and it's just so shit. Like it's so much easier to just talk to someone about it, and they're not going to think of you as a burden.
No, it's not burdensome at all. Like they appreciate it. They're going to really appreciate you reaching out to them. One, because I guess they're going to believe that you trust in them, and two, like they just want the best for you.
Yeah, exactly, and that's sort of what I like to think as well. I'd like to think with my mates, if they're struggling, like I want them to come to me because I feel like I went to them.
Yeah,
so
no
I
shit.
want to return the favour.
Yeah.
But I understand everyone's different, but even the sort of stigma around like go and see a psychiatrist. I did it,
Mate.
I went and got a mental health plan.
Yeah.
And I was really weird about it. Like, didn't tell anyone. I don't even think I told my parents. Didn't tell Rocky. Literally told no one. And I was just like, oh. And this was when I was still in like that. Nah, I think I'm.
Was that earlier this year? Was it? Yeah.
And I still felt like I was like a bit of that burden. And this is like around my birthday as well. And it was all sort of like, didn't really want to talk to anyone yet.
Yep.
And I'd heard about the mental health plan thing. And I had one friend that I was really close with who sort of said, just do it. I did it and it helped me so much. And that was sort of the last bit. And I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And I just went and got it and did it. And spoke to, I think it was Paul down in Seaford. And he was a legend. Helped me heaps. Like,
so you had a request to like rather see a bloke psychiatrist or just anyone?
Yeah, it was sort of anyone. And that was, I remember a few years ago when my parents split up, I was a bit weird. And the Padger actually offered to say, like, you can talk to someone. And at the time I was like, I don't want to talk to a random person about my shit. Like, it just didn't feel right. But now, after doing it, like, it was actually a massive relief because it was just no judgment. And it's just like, let it all out. And I felt heaps better. I reckon I probably went like 4-6 times or something, and it was I actually found it really beneficial. So it was probably the other thing is the stigma of it, like especially for blokes. Like being the footy players and that.
It's outrageous, mate. And
try and act tough, but
like,
you actually don't.
I know this is your podcast, but just from my experience, like probably a month and a half ago, like did the same thing, went and got a mental health plan, just a few things like started accumulating and building up, and it's to the point where I couldn't tolerate it anymore. And for me, it was not so much about being a burden to other people. I just have this weird thing of like, what are they going to think of me? I don't want them to think less of me or think that I'm weak or think, just think differently of me. Like, if I tell them something and let them in on what I'm feeling, then they're always going to have a different picture of me in my head. And that was the big thing for me. So that's why I wanted to go see a psychologist myself. And like, I only done 2 sessions. It's been like phenomenal. And I haven't even done a great deal of sharing it because, again, it's that fear of what are they going to think of me. But like, as my psychiatrist said, and she's a girl because I'd requested a female. So don't know why. I requested a female. Just
doesn't matter.
I think probably the same reason you have that relationship with your mother. I'd probably prefer a bit more of a softer
for sure.
person to talk to. She said, like, it's literally my job and I'm not going to judge you. I just have your best interests at heart. And it just makes it that much easier to, talk and get out whatever you're feeling, eh?
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's what... I don't even think I told many people. I told a few mates, and because a few of my mates started struggling with some shit.
Well, I'm the same. I didn't tell anyone. This is probably the first time I've told anyone myself too. Like, my parents don't know.
I don't reckon I've told more than 5 people.
I made it real secretive, this big secret.
I know, and that's just the way it is. But because a few of my mates started going through shit, and they all knew that I went through it, and they just said, like, how'd you go? And I just said, man, you probably don't want to hear it, but I was like, go see a psychologist. Trust me, like, it'll help. And I mean, it might not help. Some people might not like that, but I honestly thought I wouldn't like it. And then I was just like, one chance. And after one session, I was like, yeah, I'm going to keep seeing this bloke. So.
Yeah, see, I was speaking to one of our good mates, like Laffer, and he said, let me know how you go with the psychologist, because like myself, I didn't have too many, I didn't find it that beneficial, but I know many people have, so let me know how you go. So Laff went very well. But so everybody's different. Everybody's going to respond differently to different modalities, eh?
Yeah. So that was the start of the year. Had the broken foot, and then just some mental shit going on, and then from there, I think it was a bit of a long one. It was 6 weeks in the boot, and I think last time it was about 12 weeks all around. But I think I got blown out to about 14 to 16 weeks because I had something happen. I think with the the mending didn't mend right. I had to go get an MRI or something.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this. Yeah,
they
it's
were
a long time ago.
contemplating putting a pin in or something because they didn't think it had mended right, but eventually got it. So yeah, came back in mid-season, I think. Played Mount Eliza was my first game. Spent the first 2 weeks in the resis, blowing off the cobwebs and trying to get a kick, which got a couple, so that was all right.
Good.
But I was a bit behind. I was pretty unfit at that stage.
Yeah, how was the return? Like, I have asked you, but it's that long ago. I can't remember. Like, how did you find it? Were you blowing up? Like, were you able to run out 4 quarters?
I was blowing up. The first game was at YC, Jubilee. It's pretty big oval, and I just remember going, Hutcho was just saying to him, mate, give me like 5 a quarter and then let me sit for a bit. And so the first game I took it pretty easy, and it was good because our resis were pretty unreal, and they're a good side. I don't think they didn't lose a game all year actually. So
no.
It was nice to be able to go and play with them and not have to try and do everything.
Yep.
Not that I
not have to try.
No, definitely have to try. I can tell you that. But yeah, then the next week we played Edie, and I was still in the resis, and Edie was pretty good because it was Edie's a much smaller ground.
Didn't have to look behind your head to see if there were any fists coming this time.
No, Edie was good because it's smaller ground, so I could cover the ground a lot easier. And then from there, I think we had a week off after that because I think my first 8 games back was 2 weeks on, 1 week off, 2 weeks on. It was Queen's birthday, and then there was the bye week or something. So I was pretty lucky that I could get a rest in every now and then. And then, yeah, played out the year back in the seniors and felt like I was going all right, playing some decent footy, a bit up and down, and got to the finals, and I was pretty keen. It was YC obviously being such a strong club, and in juniors we played in a lot of finals.
They were the favourites.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
sorry, I cut you off. You juniors played a lot of finals. Did you win any flags?
Yeah, we won 5 in a row.
Oof.
Lost under 11s and then won 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s.
Big.
So it had been a while since I had played in the final, and especially a senior final is a lot different to a junior final. So I was just keen to get out there. And I remember going into the game, had a bit of a sore foot. And
okay, so I didn't know this. You actually had a sore foot prior to the match.
Yeah, so I think it was in the last round of the season against Edie. I think I got stood on, nothing, just being in the ruck and you're planting your feet and shit.
Oh, it happened. In any position, you can get stood on. It fucking hurts. 'Cause, you got the cleats.
I think I remember getting stood on in that last round, and I was like, a bit sore, probably just a bit of bone. My foot was a bit bruised, and I was like, it's just bone bruising. Nothing felt bad. I'd broken my foot twice, so I was like, it doesn't feel like anything like that. And then we had the week off because we finished on top. So I just spoke to Gooch, and he was like, yeah, just don't train this week, give it a rest. And I was like, yep, sweet. And then going into that final against Bomb Beach, I obviously trained that week leading in. So coming off the week off, felt pretty good. And then the Tuesday night, got through training all sweet. Thursday night, training, and then got stood on again at training. And I remember, Luca Goonan stood on my foot.
I was just about to say, name and shame, who did it? And it was Luca.
Goonan's the
Jesus.
one. Luca's the one that did me shoulder at Stingrays as well. So, Luca, your fault.
So, Luca, what you're saying is you've cost him a flag, Luca.
And then, Luca stood on there. It was pretty sore again. I remember going to work on the Friday. I was like, fuck, man, this is real sore. But I was like, it's just bone bruising.
It's all right.
It's a final.
Yep.
I'll be right. And then I remember...
Couple of Panadols.
Got some stronger ones. I can't remember what they were, but they were decent ones. And
weren't endones, were they?
No. Wasn't on the heavies.
You'd be flying on the footy field.
And then had a couple Friday night. Saturday woke up, had a couple more. Get to the game. I was feeling pretty good. Strapped up and that, ready to go. Started playing. It was sore, but it wasn't bad. Get to half time and we went in and you have your 10, 15 minutes in the rooms. I was feeling all right. And then we go to run out after half time and I was like, fuck.
Oh.
I was like, man, I can't run.
Oofed.
Started I was looking around. I was like, I hope none of these Bonnie blokes are looking because I was like, and the game was pretty tight at this stage. And I was like, I'm struggling here.
Fucked.
And I think Gooch might have yelled something out to me and I was like, nah, don't worry, I'm sweet. And played out the game and I think I had a pretty good game actually that day, I think, from memory, but it sort of helps because Bonnie don't really...
What'd you say? Gooch yelled out something to you so he saw you limping or struggling to move or just...
Right.
Yep.
I think I just said, I'll be right. And tried to soldier on and...
Classic.
Every time... I think I'd come off for like 5 minutes a quarter, and like those 5 minutes I was sitting on the bench getting cold, and I was like, fuck, man, this is killing.
Just every time it's just getting harder and harder to get back up.
Yeah, and so we got to last quarter, and I'd just come off for a spell, and I think Bonnie had just hit the front now as well, and I remember like sitting there with the physio, and I was saying to him, man, if we lose this, there's no chance I'm playing next week. Like, this is fucked. And luckily enough, Lukey Painter ends up kicking the goal to put us in front in the last minute or two, and got back on there, and we finished the game 1. I was like, all right, sweet.
Tick.
Get off the ground, and I was like, in my head, I was like, my foot's fucking sore, but I was like, it's just bone bruising.
Yeah, we'll get through.
And then...
And I remember you come and trained at Virtus like that week, and you said the same thing. Like your foot was fat and it was purple-ish.
Yeah, so I remember leaving the rooms after the game, like hobbled my way to the car, and I was trying to like make sure no one could see. And I was like, no, I still feel all right. Like it's just blown up because I've just played. It'll be sweet. And then I actually put my moon boot back on just for that week because I was like, because we had the week off again because we'd obviously gone straight through to the granny. And I put the boot back on and just sort of made sure I wasn't going places where people would see me. I think even coming here, I would leave the boot in the car so no one knew I was wearing the boot.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, 'cause we got a few MP NFL players.
Yeah, and there was a few. I think there was a few Bomber boys.
Yep.
Because Bombers were in the prelim against Bonnie, and then got to like the Wednesday, and I was still in a fair bit of pain. And I remember speaking to Rob Wallace, the master.
Yep.
And he
the strapping extraordinaire.
Yep. Went there every Saturday morning this year and got strapped before the game. He actually said, he's like, I'll just come in, because I was going to go see him anyway just to get a bit of work done. And he was like, I'll just go get a scan just in case, because I wasn't going to get scans at all. Because I was like, it's sore, but I was like, it's fine.
I remember after Rob told you that, I think you said to me, like, I don't want to get a scan. Like, in case it does show something, then I fucking have to sit out.
Yeah, well, in my brain, I was still like, nah, I'm not, it's not going to be anything. But
do you reckon you were in denial, or you actually, did you actually believe you're fine?
I didn't think I was fine. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't think it was broken.
Yeah.
And so then I remember going on the Wednesday, getting scans, came in after, did a session, and the Thursday morning, get the notification like your scans have been uploaded. I was going to see Rob on that Thursday night, get the results, and straight away I logged in, looked at them on my phone, and straight away I looked at it, and I was like, fuck.
Wait, so you looked at the picture, or you look at what they wrote?
I looked at the picture.
Yeah,
and I mean, I've seen
enough. This is to your untrained eye. You even like saw like, fuck, even I know that's broken.
Yeah, so there was a decent crack through the second met this time, so I was still on the right foot, but a new different bone this time, and had a crack, and straight away I got on the phone to Rob. Well, I think Rob had called me and said, "Have you seen the scans?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You know, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's broken." And he's like, "Yeah," and I was like, I think I was at work, and I said, "Oh, I can't talk right now." I was like, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
And that's sort of when it started to hit me, and I was like, fuck, man, I don't know what's going to happen here.
What was, actually, first question, what was the remainder of that day at work like? Just trying to digest all of that? I was just trying to
figure, I was just being like, fuck, man, I don't know. Because we were in a grand final already, and I was like, this isn't looking good. And then the Thursday night, went and saw Rob, and he felt pretty bad and was just trying to sort of say, I don't think he can play. And I went and saw my old trainer, Bryce Marshman, who he's a bit of a magician as well. He's a lot like the Fizz. And spoke to him, and he just said, look, I don't really think you can play. And who else? I went and saw someone else as well. I can't remember.
Did you chat to the Fizz?
Yeah, I think I spoke to I think I gave the Fizz a call as well, and he just said, look, it's being so young, it's just not worth it. Like, you can get injections and that where you won't be able to feel your foot. All that, whatever it is, I can't remember what now. But I was like, he just said if you do that, there's a very strong chance, like, you probably might not even be able to run for the game and that because you can't feel your foot. And then secondly, even if you can run, every time you run, step, get stood on, it's going to just destroy the bones.
And worse and worse,
get loose fragments everywhere. And then sort of the thing where it's like if you're 35 and about to retire, you might go out with a bang, but when you're 22 and you got your whole career ahead of you, it's not worth it. So, yeah, it took that pretty shit, to be honest. I remember sitting in my car after, called Mum. I think I started crying on the phone to my Mum. I think I just called her and she's like, oh, what's up? Because I speak to Mum a fair bit. And I was like, I'm not playing. She goes, what? And I was like, I'm not playing in the grand final. She goes, what do you mean? I was like, fucking foot's broken. And Mum was flying down and everything for the granny, so.
Oh, yeah, shit.
And then just burst into tears on the phone to Mum, and I was pretty beside myself because the boys won in the end, which is awesome, but in my head, I was like, sort of very selfish in that point. And I was just like, fuck, man, this isn't good. And I was just, lost it. And then I remember going home, walked in, and I think as soon as I saw Dad, I just started crying as well.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, what's up? And I was like, oh, I'm not fucking playing. And everyone was shattered for me. And then the hard part was then going to footy training, and I had to speak to Gooch, and went up to Gooch and had a meeting with him before training, just said, I'm not going to be able to play.
Have to tell all the boys. And
Made it a bit easier having big Zachy Barrett run around the twos, because I reckon he's a ones ruckman anyway. I mean, he showed it, played an awesome grand final. But made it a lot easier knowing I had him. Like, if it was...
Like the boys were in good hands.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was like, there was no one there. Like, Zach was ready to go, probably should have been playing seniors all year anyway. He was in and out. And, it's good for him. Like, he deserved it anyway. But it made it a lot easier for me. And then, obviously, telling everyone at training, I think I lost it again, and everyone's bloody giving me these cuddles and shit. And I was like...
That's it. And like you said earlier with one of your other injuries, like, the boys get around you and they make you feel nice, but it's just probably not quite the same, was it?
Oh,
how was it watching the grand final, and what was the feeling like, and the celebrations after? Like,
it was bittersweet. It was there's no denying. I was like, couldn't believe how happy I was for the boys. I thought I'd probably take it a lot worse, to be honest. Like, game day, I was feeling alright, and everyone's still getting around me and all that sort of shit. And
it's weird. Like, you see AFL, like when.
The Bob Murphy one?
Yeah, like Bob Murphy, and when Andrew Gaff punched Brayshaw and he missed the grand final, he was distraught after West Coast won. Like, everyone's going to react differently. What were your sort of reactions?
Watching the game, I was pretty confident we were going to win all day. Bonnie gave us a bit of a scare, but I was confident in the boys.
Yep.
And Simon went, and it was sort of, I think the first person to grab was Kaya Dees, and he just sort of grabbed me and was like, you're a part of it. And I was like, just go away. But
Shut up.
And it was sort of like, because everyone runs onto the field and I'm in my moon boot. I can't run. So I was sort of like
speed walking,
trying to hobble out there.
Were you on crutches or were you walking?
No, I was walking. And then all of a sudden, all the boys sort of started running over to me, and I was like, all right. And it was just awesome. Like, they made me feel so part of it. And I still feel like I was. I mean, I didn't play on the day, but I felt like I had good impact throughout the year and that. And it was awesome. But it was... I think I made sure I celebrated like I played. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, made sure that everyone knew I was there.
Good. Made your presence known. You couldn't make your presence known on the field, but you definitely made it known off the field.
Yeah.
And that's so true about, like, they wouldn't have been there without you. There would have been that many times throughout the year, in close games that, you probably had a pretty big deciding factor on a win or a loss, and
hopefully
well and truly dictated their ladder position and got them into the grand final.
Yeah. But so it was very bittersweet, but it was at the end of the day, boys got the win, and I was part of it for most of the year, so I'll take it. But it was, looking back, it was just a frustrating year. Two broken feet, both the same foot, and it was just couldn't get that continuity I wanted. So hopefully get it going next year. Before
we talk about next year, let's talk about those celebrations. Who was best on ground?
Probably Chinny, Blake Mullane.
Yeah, we've got a question from him later too, as well.
It's going to be a shocker, I can already tell.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. We've had better ones. 2022 sucked ass. We've got a few more days left. What do they look like? You're driving up to the sunny coast? You're driving up solo? You're going to make to support you again? Or
my mum's coming down for Christmas. So
yeah, nice.
She was going to fly back, but we're just going to drive back up together. So, because obviously, I wanted to do like a road trip, but a few of my mates are all sort of busy in that, and I was just like, oh, fuck it.
Just get it done.
Get it done. So, what is it? The 18th. It's next Monday. Fuck.
Less than 2 weeks.
That's close.
Pretty cooked.
Days, yeah. So I've got...
What do you say? 8 days? Oh, yeah, till you leave.
Next Monday.
Yep.
So just catching up with mates and family and just trying to see as many people as I can. So I had a pretty big weekend catching up with a lot of people. And then this week I got work break up on Monday or Tuesday. I don't know. But it's sort of, it's weird when I tell people I've got work break up because I think it's just me and my dad. So we work at a factory. And it's sort of like 4 or 5 different companies that all sort of work together, I guess. And it's probably like 16 of us. So we'll have work break up Tuesday or Monday. Good. And then, just seeing family, a few of the boys, and Christmas, and then fang off Boxing Day. Probably try and leave it. I think we got to get to Newcastle, so I reckon it'll be about good. I think Newcastle's about 12-hour drive.
Oof.
Boxing Day, I reckon it'll push out to probably 13, 14.
Yeah, so see, that just sounds like a nightmare to me.
I think hopefully try and leave by like 3 or 4 a.m.
Is
Boxing Day.
Is it over 3:34 a.m.?
Well, we got to get.
Yeah.
We got to check into the bloody joint we're staying at.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Is it over? Because like I've moved a couple of times in my life, but never really too far, and you're never too far from your mates, so I've never had to have a big going away or anything. Is it overwhelming when you're moving so far away, like doing all these formalities and ticking off the going aways and saying see you later to the people that you want to? And
it wasn't, but I think this morning it all sort of hit me.
yeah, you've only got 8 days to cram in,
because Friday night
pile on Christmas and.
Yeah, Friday night one of the girls was moving to Scotland for study, so it was sort of her thing, and I'm just sort of mates with all them as well. So I went out and saw all them and was feeling pretty good. And then last night was just with all my mates that I've sort of hung around with the last 5 or 6 years, and was good. Like it was good fun just being around everyone. And then one of their boys actually came back from England yesterday. He's been gone for 6 months, so it was sort of like the last time we were all together again. And yeah, this morning when I woke up before I came here, I was sort of just sitting in bed. I was like, fuck, that might have been the last time I was with all my friends before I go. So I'll see them all like sporadically over the next week, but I don't know if we'll all be together again.
It's it.
And I know it's still like you say it's that far. It's a 2-hour flight, so it's doable.
It's not. And the ones that do care about you, like the 2-hour flight and the money for the flight's nothing. It's nothing to go and see.
And I'll be
mate.
back anyway. I know I'm already coming back in March for my birthday and that, so I'll
and you'll be popping into Virtus.
Yeah, I'll make sure of it. That's 3 months away. So yeah, I'll make sure of that. So then from there, I'll have to figure out what I'm doing next. But yeah, it is. It's weird. It's weird. Like it's starting to kick in now. I'm like, fuck. And this is what I was saying about how like I needed to just lock in and tell people I was going. Yeah. Because if I'd have got to like now, I'd be like, fuck no, I don't want to go.
Fuck that. Yeah. Especially with the silly season and you're spending time with your friends and your family. It's like, I don't want to leave this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it'll be good.
You gotta
live with mum again and get close to my sister again. So
you gotta do it. What do you anticipate 2023 will look like? And spoiler alert, it's not going to turn out anything like you anticipate. But like, what do you sort of hope comes from the next 12 months and beyond? Like, is Sunny Coast like going to be a semi-permanent thing? And again, obviously you don't know, but like,
I don't know. I think I'm going in with like just no plan, sort of going
no expectations.
Yeah, give it a year.
Yeah, good.
And just go from there. Like, there's just who knows what's going to happen. Like, you just don't know. Might love it up there, might hate it, might meet someone, might not meet someone. Like, I think sporting wise and like health wise and that, I want to not get injured. That'd be nice. So get through a full footy season up there. It'd be good fun.
You no injuries.
Yeah.
No broken foots. No concussions. Which we'll talk about in a sec.
And then just sort of meet new people, make some mates, and just have a good time. Like just enjoy it up there. Because I'm only 22. I've got.
Fuck, you're young. You are young.
I am.
Better weather up there.
Yeah, I know it's been shocking down here.
Shit house, mate.
I know, man. It's mid-December. I've been wearing jumpers.
Seriously?
Not good. But I know I'm going to get up there and I'm going to be sweating bullets.
Good problem to have, I reckon.
Yeah, but I reckon the humidity's that's going to be the hardest thing.
It's going to teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk about one more injury you've had before we take some Q&A questions. Concussion you got earlier in the year.
Yeah.
At Strawberry Music Festival.
Yeah, Strawberry Fields up on the Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. Just with a few mates at a doof. Had a few too many and
because this is when you were in the moon boot too, was it not?
Nah, Strawberry was the week I took
you
it.
just got it off, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so had a few. Definitely a few too many. And walking around and like it's like just every festival, like just campers, tents and shit everywhere.
Yeah, the people have got their ropes and
and so we were walking from our camp to go to one of the stages or something, and I was pretty out of it and tripped over a tent rope and ate shit face first and just bang. I honestly don't remember much from the whole weekend. I just remember, I don't actually remember. I've been told I tripped on this thing face first, bang, hit the ground like pretty hard apparently. My mates like got me up and then they like making sure like, you're right, mate, you're right. And I was like, yeah, yep. And it sort of, I don't think I was out. I think it was just like a bit all over the joint.
Just dazed.
And they got me up and they'll hold me for a sec and then they let me go because I said I was all right. And then apparently I just went
down again.
Bang, face first, out cold. Oh, no, I don't think I was out cold actually. I don't think I went out at all. But I was just like, I don't remember it. And so woke up the next morning in the medical tent with no recollection of what had been going on.
Well, that's it, because that's the way you've told the story to me. Like you tripped over and you woke up in the medical tent.
Yeah, and so I was actually awake the whole time because like I've seen videos, my mates were videoing it, and I was awake the whole time, but I was a bit definitely out of it. And I just remember, waking up in the medical tent the next morning thinking, like, what the fuck? I was like, what has happened? And I was like, I think in my head, because no one was walking around at the time, and I was like, I think I must have just got real drunk and, like, passed out somewhere. And
someone's found you and taken your medical.
I was like, all of a sudden had all the thingies on my chest.
Yeah, the little ECG, heart monitors.
I was like, what the fuck? And I just started pulling them off. And then this chick comes in and, like, starts
Don't
yelling
do that.
at me. And then they had to do it, and they did the thing, and they said, yeah, you're all sweet. And then I remember, like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then got up out of the medical tent, and they're like, oh, do you know where your camp is? I think it was like a trick question, because they obviously knew, because they got me on the stretcher to get me there and everything. And I remember just being like, I just need to get out of here. And I was like, yeah, I know where I'm camping. I had no idea where I'm camping. Walk out the medical tent, and I look around, and I was like, fuck, how am I going to find my mates in my camp?
Am I still at Strawberry Fields?
And I dead set just look to me left, and I see this flag that one of the boys had set up at our camp, and I was like, oh, mate, you are kidding. And it was right there. I go, oh, yeah, we're just there. And she goes, yeah, we know. And I was like, oh, thank fuck for that. And then, walked over and crawled back into my swag to get a bit more sleep, because this was like 6 a.m. And I remember, like, I was still thinking I've just been passed out, because the nurse, like, the people didn't tell me.
They didn't tell you anything. Did you have a headache?
Probably. I don't know. And then it got to... I slept for like another hour or two, and mates woke me up. And one of my mates came in, because my keys were in the swag, and he's like, got the keys out, and he's like, oh, you're right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I woke up in a medical tent. He's like, yeah, I know. And I was like,
no shit.
He's like, are you, like, okay though? And I was like, yeah, why? He's like, what do you mean, why? And I was like, well, I don't know. I was like, I was just passed out, didn't I? Bit drunk. And he was like, no, you, like, full fell over and got concussed. And I was like, nah, he's taking the piss out of me. And so got up, and a few of the other boys were up, and they were all saying it. And, like, me and my mates, we have a bit of banter. And I was like, nah.
Everyone's just in on this joke.
And I was like, nah, these boys taking the piss out of me. And then a few of the girls start waking up, and they were all, like, worried as well. Like, oh, are you, like, feeling better? And I was like, fuck, maybe this has actually happened. And then someone pulls out their phone and shows me this video, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I can't believe this has actually happened.
Is that a video of you in the tent, or like you
Nah, that was me.
stacking?
Nah, no one had a video of me stacking, because I think it just happened. It was me on the stretcher. And, I was in a bit of a state. I'm pretty sure I'd shaved the chopper mo on. It just looked shocking. I just looked stupid. Just this big idiot laying on a stretcher.
Big handlebars.
And I think I was, just yelling shit out, being an idiot. And then, realised I'd been concussed. So that was a bit of a struggle. And I honestly, don't remember a whole lot from that weekend. That's
phenomenal. Where does Strawberry Fields rank in festivals you've been to? Because I've had a couple of mates tell me it's the best they've ever been. I've never been to Straubs. Where does it rank for you? Give us your top 3 favourite. Because you love a doof. You've been to a few over the years. Like,
I've been to a few.
Give us your top 3.
Oh, Pitch is pretty good. Strawberry, they're all different. Strawberry was good because it's just where it was. But the Strawberry we went to was split over 2 weekends, and it was a lot. Like, my mates went to the Strawberry the year before, and they said it was way bigger and heaps better. But that one I went to was real good, like, because you're sitting on the Murray, and we had unreal weather. So, like, you're swimming each morning and that. Pitch was good. Like, Pitch was real good. It's just they're so far away. BTV, I didn't mind it, but BTV was just sort of, that last one I went to was a bit of a shit show. It's so hot.
That was the 2019 one,
on the hill, and it was just a pain. And then we, through COVID, my mates a few of my mates DJing that, and we just sort of did our own thing. It was good fun. But,
and they're probably sometimes the best ones, or it's just you and your crew,
like,
and
someone's just got property somewhere. Go up to the Murray. I think we went for my 21st. Went up to the Murray and caused a bit of a ruckus and just ran around there and had a bit of fun. Yeah,
love that.
Yeah, that was good fun.
Almost time for some Q&A questions. I got one more for you. You know the classic, you're stranded on an island, you can only bring 3 things, bring X amount of people. I got one for you. You're stranded at a festival for 3 days. You can only bring 3 things, and you can only bring 3 people. Keep the things you can bring PG, please.
Well, I'd be bringing some sort of shade. I reckon a marquee. Yep. If I'm stuck there for 3 days, I'm thinking a marquee. I'm going to need a swag to sleep in.
You can sleep on the ground under the marquee, mate.
That's true. No. You need
Unless it's a winter.
Comfort. Yeah, you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll just say an esky.
You might meet somebody.
A full esky.
Yep.
That'd do me.
Cool.
If I'm at the festival, so the speaker's not going, so Esky, swag,
Yeah, you're assuming
marquee.
there's music
I need some
there.
sunshade. Maybe I'd swap out the swag for a chair because I can sleep in a chair and then I can sit in the chair. So I reckon marquee, chair, and an Esky.
Who are you bringing with you? Only 3.
Only 3.
A car full, so 4.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'd probably bring a mate.
Or is that a bit too stiff?
No, I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot to think about to just put me on the spot like that. I'm trying to think just random people that'd be funny. I reckon if you know Theo Von.
No, I don't know many people from around this
No,
way.
he's not he's like he's like some American dude. He's funny as.
Yeah,
he
good.
Posts this weird shit.
Yep.
He's funny. I'd say him. I reckon a random one, someone like Elon Musk would it'd just be weird to see. And then
that's what you want when you get back to the side at 4 a.m. and you've got Elon Musk there with you.
I don't know. You put me on the spot here. I'm trying to think. And they'll probably just bring 2 mates. Just to, at least I've got my mates with me.
Yep.
So
good.
I won't name names because I don't want to dog any.
It's a bit
mates.
stiff.
So
Yeah, it's a bit
mates,
stiff.
Elon Musk
I feel that.
And Theo Von. Theo Von will be a cracker.
Now we've got 6 fan questions. I've got them on my phone, and my phone's filming, so I'm going off the top of my head here, which I do remember them because I've been looking at them for the past few hours, just on and off, making sure.
Make sure they're PG questions.
Yeah, they're PG questions. First one's from Charlotte Inkster. When are we getting matching barley tats? Matching tats bales was what it was. Not barley tats.
We'll have to book that in.
What would you get with Charlotte?
That's a good question. Well, she's got a bit of traditional stuff as well, so I reckon we just get some random shit on the leg somewhere.
Yep. Chinny, Blake Mullane.
Chinny boy.
You got a $30 budget and 28 minutes to cook. What are you cooking me?
Just go chicken schnitzel, mate. Chicken schnitzel and some salad.
Mate, well that's $5 of your budget. What are you doing with the next 25? Just beers.
Yeah, 6-pack.
Good.
That'll do it.
Beer of choice.
I don't drink beer, so.
Yeah, you don't either.
Couple of cruises, mate.
Another one from Chinny. Were you very close to making the AFL, and what was the kicker? Was it your height?
Nah, I wasn't that close. I spoke to a few clubs, but like I said, it was just me training habits. I reckon, just needed to knuckle down more, and I was probably talking about the doofs and that. I was probably a bit loose away from footy, and I think people started to realise that. So, I wasn't that close.
No. Another one from Lukey Painter. What makes you such a great mate?
Thanks. What makes me such a great mate? Well, like I was saying before, I reckon I'm a very approachable person, good to talk to, and I think I'm like inclusive and just in like the footy setting sort of thing. Like it's just getting around everyone,
just getting
the
around
young
everybody.
boys, the old boys, everyone in between, and like just making everyone feel part of it.
He
So I
doesn't
reckon-
discriminate.
Yeah, I reckon that's sort of me being a good mate, and I'm just that like I was saying, I'm always there to like talk to someone and just be there for a mate. So
Yep.
I reckon that's what makes me a good mate.
Yeah, good. There were 2 other questions on the Instagram poll, but I can't remember them. My phone's filming, so that's my fuck up. But hey, if I don't remember them, they mustn't have been that good. But what I'll do is I'll tack them onto the Quickfire 30 episode, which we're about to film. But any more final messages? Anything you want to teach the Virtus family?
No, just make sure that someone's still playing good music when I'm gone.
Well, hey, how about you just...
You'll probably carry it on because you listen to a lot of stuff I listen to.
Hey, who's got the best music out of all the coaches?
I would probably say you. I don't know what Jazz listens
There it
to,
is.
actually, but I would probably say you because we listen to a lot of the same shit.
And that's what we wanted to hear, and that's put it to bed.
Lockie, easily worst. Mitch, I can deal with because I don't mind. Mitch changes a lot, which I'm happy to change with. But Lockie is annoying when he's got the music.
Hey, well, he's not coaching in 2023, so we've been saved.
Yeah, lucky for everyone that's training.
Anything else? Anything we didn't cover that you want to quickly say?
No, not I can think of.
Lovely. Tune into the Quickfire 30 episodes. We'll have those Instagram poll questions on there and 30 other wacky ones. Lovely. It was slow. The brains were slowly ticking over the first 20 minutes, but I think with the conversation started to get rolling in the last 45 minutes or so, mate.
Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful. Thanks very much for coming on. Good luck in the sunny coast.
Thanks for having me.